Jules H, aka Beast Boy here, but you probably already knew who I was cosplaying as. Speedy.
I'm sorry, there's so much slapback from the speakers, it's hard to hear you. Could you speak a little more clearly?
Oh, yes. Anywho, I'm a big fan of Haruhi, big fan of Noein. Just recently got into Young Justice, and Wolfrain is okay. Of those...
I don't think you're making any friends, sir. Do you have a question?
Of those four, which one do you like the best, which one do you like the least?
The four were Young Justice, Wolf's Reign, and what were the other two?
Noein, and then Haruhi.
Wolf's Reign.
Two of which I'm a huge fan.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, Wolf's Reign was sort of a, I mean, I loved working on all of them. They're all great shows. But Wolf's Reign was sort of a dream come true for me because I had really been wanting to work with the production crew that had done the Cowboy Bebop dub. Because I was in New York when I saw the Cowboy Bebop dub and I thought, those people are good. I want to work with them. And so when I finally got out to LA, Cowboy Bebop was over. I couldn't work on that. But they were having a new show called Wolf's Reign. And so I fortunately got cast in that show. And it was really, feedback? It was really great because not only was the Japanese production crew very similar, it was the same animation company, it was the same character designer, it was the same music composer, Yoko Kanno. But the American dubbing production crew was the same. So it was the same studio in America, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was directing, it was the same American producers. So, and Wolf's Reign has a lot of mythological storytelling and a lot of mythological aspects to it. For those of you who may know, that's sort of a fetish of mine. So I give presentations on mythology and mythological storytelling, and in fact I'll have a big panel performance tomorrow afternoon, late afternoon at 4:45 in the Hilton. That's my anime mythology panel, which is more like a stand-up comedy routine where you learn something. With video and audio and all sorts of cool stuff. So Wolf's Reign was really a sort of dream come true for me to be able to work on that show. So that show is always very near and dear to my heart.
So Wolf's Reign, oh, I'm sorry. All right, Wolf's Reign is your favorite?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So should I, oh, sorry. First of all, thank you for coming, and good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, my name's Alex, and yeah, I'm a huge fangirl, sorry. So my question is, as an actor, as a voice actor, which role has been the most rewarding for you personally to do?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think most actors would think about their acting that way. They would say, oh, this character allowed me to explore something I didn't get to explore before, or it was very satisfying or cathartic in some way to play this character. I don't really think about it that way. I've got a lot of director in me. My fetish is for the story, not necessarily for the individual characters. So I'm much happier working on a really cool story, playing a small character, than playing the main character in a story that I don't find as interesting, right? So when you ask me that, my first thought again is Wolf's Reign. But it's not because playing Tsume in Wolf's Reign, who is my character, it's not because Tsume is so radically different from other characters I have played. He's not. He's sort of dark and brooding. I play those a lot. But I think what's so satisfying about it to me is the story. If I can contribute to a story that I think is important, that has meaning, that touches people in a way that they can't stop thinking about that story, that is far more satisfying to me than my personal experience as an actor. Think of it like I'm a chef, all right? If I'm running a restaurant, I want my diners to have a good dining experience. It doesn't matter to me if I enjoy flambeing more than sauteing, right? The process of cooking is just not that fascinating to me. What is fascinating to me is creating an illusion or creating a story, creating meaning for an audience, and having them respond to it. And whatever I need to do that, great. You know, if I play a character that barely speaks, fine, as long as that's what needs to happen in order for the audience to have the meaning experience that they can take home with them and that they can pore over and that they find enriches them in some way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
okay.
does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm actually a big fan of Alucard, and I was wondering, before each session in the booth, did you have to do any like vocal preparations for the character?
Absolutely. Alucard is one of the most physically challenging parts for me to play because he's at the absolute bottom of my register, so I have to be incredibly relaxed to get all those nice deep low tones. But then I have to rip people's heads off, and ripping people's heads off is not terribly relaxing vocally. And so and I want it to really sound vicious. And so when I do that, what happens is the muscles in my throat will tighten because that's what happens. And so then I have to find a way to get them to relax again so I can get those nice low tones again. So it is running a gauntlet trying to play Alucard. I warm up before every gig that I go to. I learned that lesson very early. That in order to be able to consistently vocally produce a character and to be able to have access to all the parts of my voice, I need to be warmed up every time I go to the studio. So the nice thing about living in LA is that I get to drive my car everywhere, and it takes 45 minutes to get anywhere in LA. It doesn't matter how close or how far it is, it always takes 45 minutes. And so I have a little warm-up routine that I have in the car that I do on the way to an audition, to a gig, whatever it is, and I go through all that, and usually by the end of that, I know where my voice is and what I need to do to vocally produce. So with Alucard, the only addition is I get a lot of sleep, because if I'm tired or if I'm cold, that will make me tense and I won't be able to do it. So I have to get a lot of rest before I go do Alucard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm sure most of us already know what happened to Itachi after his battle with Sasuke and everything.
Nope, I don't.
Aww.
And we all know that even though it was very touching and everything, he didn't get to say much to Sasuke. But I was also wondering if he had a chance to spare a couple of last words to some of the Naruto characters, what would they be?
Well, luckily you're going to get those lines. They come later. I'm not sure when they're going to come in the show, but we just did a video game, a Naruto video game not long ago, and Itachi, without revealing too many spoilers, Itachi has the ability to come back and express in more detail his feelings for Sasuke and how he cares about him as his younger brother. So, I don't remember what those lines were off the top of my head because we recorded it a long time ago, but you will have more detailed insight into Itachi's feelings for Sasuke and for the other characters when those lines come out. I'm not sure when that video game is coming out, and I assume, and because this usually happens, the video game is developed, is recorded before we record the show, because like the show was made in Japan, and then they make the video game, but sometimes the video games get produced faster than the show does. So I assume at some point in Shippuden or whatever they're going to call the later episodes, that we will have this scene between Itachi and Sasuke. So you will get all sorts of detail on that. And then I'm sure someone will record it and put it up on YouTube and you'll be able to watch it there.
Thank you.
You bet.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Faith, and my favorite anime is Durarara.
Okay.
And I was wondering what your favorite part of helping with that production was.
What a savvy and tactful way of rewording your question. I appreciate that. I think what I really liked about Durarara, from my perspective, playing Shizuo in the show, what I like about playing Shizuo is that he's sort of a force of nature. He's like a hurricane, and so he's ripping vending machines out of the ground and throwing them at people. And what I like about that is I like the relationship between him and Isaiah, because you certainly have this sort of cat and dog thing where Izaya is the cat and Shizuo is the dog, and they're always sort of fighting, and everyone loves that. It's great. It's fun to watch, you know, the Tom and Jerry show. But I think in terms of a larger aspect of the show, what I really appreciate about it, not only the fact that it's a show told from multiple character angles, which is really hard to do well. I mean, to do a kind of show like that is incredibly taxing for the writer, and they pull it off really well, and so I'm really impressed with that. But I also like the fact that they don't pull any punches with the meanings behind things. For those of you who may not know the show, Durarara is set in modern-day Tokyo and Ikebukuro, and there's a lot of shady characters and mob and mafia characters and gang members, but then there's this figure, this rider in black, who is some woman on a motorcycle in a black outfit with a yellow helmet, and everyone thinks she's a spirit. Well, they're right. She's a Dullahan, she's an Irish spirit who's missing her head. She wears the helmet so people don't freak out because she'd be a headless motorcycle rider. Now you would think that this is the kind of thing that would stay legend forever, right? And no one would ever find out, was she a spirit or was she not? And only people who saw her in dark alleys would figure out she was really a spirit. That's not what they do. By the end of the series, she reveals herself on TV to the entire city of Tokyo. Wow, okay. Now we can't hide her in the shadows, you know? This is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer doing a press conference at the White House, you know? Oh my God, you mean the Slayer is real? You know, this isn't just happening in Sunnydale? So the fact that they're that ballsy about it is really cool, because then you have to deal with that. What does that mean? What implication does that have for Tokyo? And what happens is this really creepy motorcycle cop decides he's going to take her out. And so now she has a nemesis. Before she was like the most powerful thing in the show and nothing could threaten her. Now this crazy cop with a scar and a motorcycle strikes fear in her Irish ghost heart. Oh my God, that's really cool. You know, like that's a really sophisticated story thing to be working on. So that's what I really appreciate about that show.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Arshil, and 3 characters I really like that you've done are Kyon from Haruhi Suzumiya, Alucard, and as you just mentioned, Shizuo. And I was always curious, and if you could maybe do like a 30-second skit or whatnot, if not, just your opinion. If they roomed together, what would the outcome be? If they were roommates?
Probably a lawsuit, because I don't know how you would get the copyright to have all 3 characters in the same...
Oh, we'll like that.
Alucard doesn't like roommates, he eats them. You know? He only likes Police Girl, but, you know, that's because she probably cleans the room for him or something. You know, scrub that Police Girl. Good job, you know? I don't know. That's pretty hypothetical. Kyon, Alucard, and what was the other one?
Shizuo?
Shizuo. You don't want to put Alucard and Shizuo in the same room. I mean, Kyon would just be some splatter along the wall. But yeah, no, Alucard and Shizuo, that's not a good combo. They're not going to play nice.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.